with permission, we're speaking a little out of order, you could say, of Bhagavatam, systematic reading. And today being on a Vaishnava calendar here at New Govardhan, a very special occasion, where we have the appearance of some of the prominent associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's also obviously not here in Australia. We're still, I guess we're still at what we call the summer season. If you can put this down and up, because it blocks that. I'm seeing this little fellow here is very nice, but he looks a little bit like one of those little creatures that come out of the dark.
Are we on it?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you. I'm sure he's harmless. And it's not exactly spring, it will be autumn, if anything, coming up. Today, at least in India, is the Sant Panchami, which is the first kind of day of spring, a great day of celebration. It's a very auspicious day. And we're going to be singing a bhajan. As I say, sometimes, although some devotees are quite adamant otherwise, but we do hear Prabhupada occasionally singing a bhajan, especially on appearance days of the Lord. But today being such a special day, and I thought we would just sing a nice bhajan. It's called, one Vishwanath Chakravarti is Tirobhav today, but otherwise it's the appearance day of these various eternal associates of the Lord. So we're saying, Oh Hey Vaishnava Thakura. I don't know what page it's on. It's a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakura somewhere. So you can try to find it. And it'll be different in different books, I guess, anyway. 61, if you've got the exact same book that I have, which you probably don't. This is a well-used and worn song book. And I've only got one copy of this. I need some, perhaps they're here. I don't see cartels, but maybe there are some cartels somewhere. This is really an appeal to these great Vaishnavas. I mean, without their mercy, how can we possibly progress in spiritual life? It's by the mercy of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thank you, that we, you could say, we can approach Nityananda Prabhu and his associates, that we can approach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without whose mercy, how can we approach Radha and Krishna? So we'll first of all try to appeal, take shelter of the lotus feet of the great devotees of the Lord, who kindly made their association more accessible, you could say, on this day, reminding us of their presence, giving us their mercy on this day especially. Without their mercy, how we can control our senses, how we can develop, and it's by association that we may be able to develop good qualities favorable to devotional service and become free of those qualities which are unfavorable, and learn how to associate in the Sangha of devotees, learn how to properly associate and relate with each other. Without their mercy, how can we carry on with this Sankirtan? And we have no good qualifications, practically speaking, but by their mercy we can chant the holy name of Krishna, and they give us the process, the means by which we can chant in a way which is pleasing to Krishna, not just pleasing to ourselves, but pleasing to Krishna, which is Krishna consciousness means that. Transformation from thinking that devotional service is meant to please me, ultimately realizing it's meant to please Krishna, and that will please the real self automatically. And so we're begging, he's begging, Bhaktivinoda's begging for their mercy. And we're eager. We heard about eagerness a little bit the other day, how eager we have to be, how enthusiastic utsaha in our devotional service. So he's very eagerly trying to take the dust of the feet of the pure devotees, running after them, crying, Krishna, Krishna. You have Krishna. Only the pure devotee, Lord, he resides in everyone's heart, but he doesn't manifest his presence generally. Only in the heart of the pure devotees. fully absorbed in satisfying his desires. And by their mercy we can also attain this only real goal of life. So we'll sing this song. O he Vaishnava Thakura. We'll wind up. O he Vaishnava Thakura, Duyara Sagara, Dasa Kuruna Kori. O he Vaishnava Thakura, Duyara Sagara, Dasa Kuruna Kori. Ya Parachaya Shoda He Amaya Tomaha Charana Dhari. Ya Parachaya Shoda He Amaya Tomara Charana Dhari. Jaya Begadomi, Jaya Dosha Shodi, Jaya Guna Devodase. Jaya Begadomi, Jaya Dosha Shodi, Jaya Guna Devodase. Jaya Satsanga Devo Yamare Useche Sangera Ashe. Jaya Satsanga Devo Yamare Ekaki Yama Nahi Bhaya Bolo Harinama Sankirtane Ekakiyama Tumi Kripa Kari Shudha Vindhudiya Devo Krishna Namadhane. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, tomara shakti ache. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, shakti ache. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna bole, Daitavo, Pache Pache. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna bole, Daitavo, Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna bole, Daitavo, Pache Pache. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna bole, Daitavo, Pache Pache. Oh hey, Vaishnava Thakura, Toyar Sadhara, Dasa Kuruna Kori. Vaishnava Thakura. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Oh, hey Vaishnava Thakura, hey Vaishnava Thakura, Vaishnava Thakura, hey Vaishnava Thakura, Vaishnava Thakura, hey Vaishnava Thakura, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Pundarika, Vidyanidhi Avibhav Mahotsav ki, Shri Vishnupriya Devi Avibhav Mahotsav ki, Shri Raghunandana Thakura Avibhav Mahotsav ki, Shri Visvanatha Chakravarti Thakur Tirubhav Mahotsav ki, Shri Raghunatha Goswami Avibhav Mahotsav ki, Shri Visvanatha Panchami ki jai, Shri Saraswati Puja ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees of New Govardhan and wherever else you come from, thank you for your association today. And I pray that you may please be a little kind and give your merciful blessings so we can speak a few words which will be pleasing to the acharyas and hopefully enlivening to the devotees. We hope so. Following in the line of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his, probably many places, but in one place he describes in Bhakti Aloka how important it is to hear about, to glorify, remember the devotees of the Lord, especially these parishads, these eternal associates of the Lord. So today we have, I don't know if there's another day in the whole year where so many eternal associates of the Lord decide to appear or manifest their pastimes, at least to our knowledge, than days like today. There's at least 5 prominent associates on our calendar on this auspicious day of Vasant Panchami. It's very auspicious to hear about them. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes by hearing about these great associates, one develops confidence, one develops a determination. We often lack. In fact, this song we just sung discusses this enthusiasm, this confidence in devotional service. And we often lack these qualities, or sometimes they're a little bit eroded by various associations which may not be so favorable. Either our own conditional association from the past or present association with whatever it may be, objects of the senses, or those who happen to be a little inclined towards, let's say, glorifying the objects of the senses separate from Krishna, or let's say criticizing those who are trying to connect with Krishna in various ways. Negative association, unfavorable. So that will naturally cause a decline in our natural, our endeavors to become engaged in devotional service, our enthusiasm, our convictions, and so on, will be challenged. But by actually hearing about these eternal associates, just like when we hear about Krishna's pastimes, especially his childhood pastimes, Bhaktisiddhanta recommends for those who are still identifying with this material body in any way as the self, still attached to the endeavor to try to satisfy the senses of this body, etc. To hear about Krishna's intimate pastimes may be a little bit premature. So if we're going to hear about Krishna's pastimes, the youthful pastimes, the childhood pastimes are more relevant, where we especially see Krishna enjoying his pastimes, especially of killing various demons. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes very gory incidences are described, but it purifies our hearts of the tendencies which those demons tend to emphasize or epitomize. It can help remove those tendencies within our heart by hearing about them, so we become more eligible to hear about, let's say, the more intimate pastimes of the Lord in terms of loving relationships. So that's one thing. He also said that actually better that we hear about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his pastimes, preparing us to become, with the right attitude and with the mercy of the Lord, approach the pastimes of Krishna, or Radha and Krishna, like that. And Lord Chaitanya, of course, has given us this absolutely amazing, out of this world process, opportunity, knowingly or unknowingly, we can say, to cultivate this loving relationship with Radha and Krishna through the cultivation of chanting the holy names purely. It's a special mercy, this Sankirtan movement, which is made accessible to just about everybody. You just matter whether you take it or not. It's not a question of disqualification. Your disqualification is that we don't want to chant. So to cultivate this enthusiasm for chanting, it's in the association of devotees, and especially when we have the association of such exalted Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis as of today, and the eternal consort of Srimati, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the eternal consort of Lord Krishna Satyabhama in the form of Vishnupriya Devi Dasi. We have the opportunity to associate with the eternal associate of the Lord in Rajalila. We won't say who he is, but Pundarika, Vidyanidhi, Raghunandana Thakura, an extraordinary devotee. Not much is said about him, but extremely extraordinary follower of Lord Chaitanya. And Visvanatha Chakravarti Thakur, described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj as the guardian, the protector of pure devotional service of his time. Some Acharyas describe him as another expansion or form of Rupa Goswami. He was so exalted. His elucidation on the Vaishnava literatures is beyond comparison, practically, compared with Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami. But exceptional personality, Visvanatha Chakravarti. He appeared later, not during the time of Mahaprabhu, maybe 140 or 50 years later, but still in that same line, following in the line of the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. and clarifying the pure teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through his writings. Exceptional personality in our line of Parampara. And then we have, who else do we have? Raghunatha Das Goswami, who other than the Prayojana Acharya of our line, who is the manifestation of the personification of the perfection of the path of devotion. We cannot imitate him, but by hearing about him, we maybe get his mercy, so we can become a little bit more serious, a little bit more focused on what we're really here for, and what is our real goal of life, and accepting that which is favorable for the ultimate goal of life, not just the temporary ones, not just those which may satisfy our conditioned state for some time, but that which will help release us from our conditioned state. This is the mercy of these devotees. So we'll try to speak a little bit about them. We'll chant the verse. I think there's a verse on the board, is that correct? I can't see it though, and I don't have it in front of me. How will I repeat it? I've not memorized it yet. Krishna Kirtan's taking me seriously. Has he got it on his mobile? He says, yeah, this is yeah, why not? Let's see.
You might need to refresh them.
Are they in that order, are they?
In order.
This is the order. Okay.
You might have to keep refreshing.
Okay.
So touch it if it goes dark.
Shri Pundarika Vidyanidhi Raghunandana Thakura Shri Raghunatha Das Goswami Visvanatha Chakravarti Thakur. We're doing good. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi Saraswati Puja. It's gone all black here. Vasanta Panchami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. What else to say? What else to say? So it's a very nice verse. I describe by chanting the names of the great devotees of Lord Chaitanya. This is actually how we please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By glorifying even Lord Shiva. What's that verse? Avadhananam. How's it go? You know, it's Sarvesham, Vishnu, Avadhanam, Param or something. Lord Shiva is saying to Parvati, of all forms of worship, the worship of Lord Vishnu is the highest. But even higher than that, is the worship of the devotees. Tadyanam. By worshipping the devotees, or that which is dear to the Lord. No one is more dear to the Lord than the devotee. And in this world, no one is more dear to the Lord than one who comes to spread his glories. This is the most pleasing thing to the Lord and to Srimati Radharani. Those who are spreading this message, they are the highest of all welfare workers. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, they are the most dear to him. And Bhaktivinoda goes on to say, not just enthusiasm or determination and confidence and courage, confidence like that, but also great satisfaction. Unless we're getting satisfaction in our efforts to serve, then there will be a tendency to look somewhere else for satisfaction. So this is one of the ways recommended to feel inner satisfaction, to glorify the devotees. So it's plain logic that, obviously by glorifying Krishna, this is our constitutional nature. But if we want to please Krishna, he's more pleased. It's only natural, even in our own experience. When somebody glorifies or serves someone very dear to us, we're more pleased than if they directly try to serve us. And even Krishna said to Durvasa Muni that one who thinks he's my devotee is not my devotee, but one who endeavors to serve my devotees, he is my devotee. It's more pleasing to the Krishna when he hears his devotees glorified than when we try to directly glorify him. So we may wonder, why don't we just do that? We don't only just do that because the devotees tell us what to do. Glorifying the devotees doesn't just mean a sentimental thing. It means to also follow mainly it means to follow what they say. This is the worship of the Vaishnavas. But on these particular days, to hear about them especially is very auspicious, because in that hearing we may also pick up various, say, relevant instructions, relevant features which are important for us to imbibe. Okay, so where should we start? Who's at the top of the list? Pardon? Pundarika? Thank you very much for that. I'll have to memorize this song. I don't need to know. We can say it anyway.
If you hear them, it all comes.
Yeah. We'll be here till midnight if we're going to read from there. We'll just speak something. You can do that if you have nothing else to do today, or you have a tape with it on, just over and over again, listen to their glories. So purifying and so enlivening. So it doesn't matter how we start. And sometimes we start at the bottom and work up, isn't it? I know just recently we've had the Prabhupada book marathon, and maybe you were otherwise engaged here. I don't know if any of you were engaged in that, but in France we endeavored to, every year we try to put our energy from top to bottom into the Prabhupada book marathon. This year we doubled our quota. It was remarkable, considering our top book distillers were not with us. But some other devotees came out of nowhere and became heroes of the Sankirtan field. They picked lots and lots of fruits this year and distributed thousands and thousands of books. So that was an inspiration. But when we read the scores, and not that that's the goal of life by any means, but it's enlivening to hear Prabhupada, like to hear them. So we start usually from they're equal in reality, but those who one way or another didn't distribute quite so many books, up to those who distributed more books. It's exciting. Spiritual life is very exciting. So, okay, the Sant Panchami we've already mentioned, first day of spring in Vrindavan and other places today. There's great celebrations. They decorate the deities in beautiful yellow and white and maybe some greenery. It's a day of joyful occasion, very joyful occasion today. And the children, they may bring their books, start school or something. They bring their books and place them in front of Saraswati Devi. They make a deity of Saraswati if they don't have one. And they leave them there all day long to be blessed by Saraswati Devi so that they can become very learned scholars. We don't do that in ISKCON. Bring our Bhagavad Gitas, place them before Saraswatis, and we don't need to do that. But this is a tradition, and it's a wonderful tradition which goes on. All these various festivals and traditions help to enhance our spirituality, create an environment, an atmosphere which is favorable for pure devotional service. Mostly in that atmosphere, the awakening of pure devotion is only, as we just sang, you have Krishna, Krishna's in the heart of his pure devotees. Only by their mercy will Krishna reveal himself. It's only by the mercy of the pure Vaishnavas that Krishna reveals himself. So it is essential in our devotional service to please the pure devotees. So we hope that there will be some pleasure for those great exalted Vaishnavas if we speak a few words. So we will start. Who's at the bottom of the list? Pardon?
Vishnupriya.
Vishnupriya Devi. It was not bottom, top, it's just order. Vishnupriya Devi, the most exalted we just mentioned just now. She's non-different than Satyabhama. And it's interesting, there's various features of this. And her father, Vishnupriya's father, Sanatana Mishra, who was residing there somewhere in Navadvipa, had given birth to the most beautiful daughter, most qualified, full of all wonderful qualities. We can, obviously, we may not be in the same category, to say the least. I don't know where you were born, but with all due respect, I wasn't born in this most exalted position by any means. Our parents were what they were, all glorious. But certainly not a situation like this. Sanatan Mishra is Satyajit in Krishna Lila, who gave birth to Satyabhama. Although he behaves a little oddly, he's actually a very exalted person, one of the Lord's eternal associates also. And his daughter Satyabhama, of course, is known as the most intimate or the most dear to Krishna. Rukmini being the first queen, no doubt, but the relationship with Satyabhama was even more exciting and more whatever, favorite pastimes, because Satyabhama is an expansion of Radharani. So very, very, what can you say, complete pastime. Vishnupriya, not so much is said about details of Vishnupriya, except for the wedding. The marriage was extraordinary. Arrangements made. Of course, Lakshmi Priya, the first wife of Mahaprabhu, had already unmanifested her pastimes for various reasons. And Mother Sachi was feeling, because it was a great blow to her when Mahaprabhu was away, that Lakshmi Priya left her body from external vision. And she was heartbroken. So she felt strongly that her Nimai should again get married. And it was general opinion, even the matchmaker. Marriage life was very organized in those days. It wasn't quite the same today. Sometimes it's a little organized, but oftentimes it's just, attraction, physical attraction is the primary force often which creates the union between man and woman. Whereas in a proper human society, that's one factor which may be there, of course, but it's not the primary one. There are all kinds of factors in place. Vishnupriya would, she was a very chaste girl. Even as a little girl, she would go down to the river Ganga and perform puja. She would see Mother Sachi there. She would take the dust of her feet and serve Mother Sachi and all the elevated devotees and ladies. She was very, very pure. And Mother Sachi could see her wonderful qualities. She even thought this girl would be a wonderful match for my Nimai. Very young. And they have, now we may have an astrologer, qualified or not, who does some kind of chart or something, I don't know. And you make the best use of a bad bargain, whatever it says. But they have much more than that. Probably the astrologers were much more tuned in to the reality of relationships. And on top of that, they have matchmaker. I think Vanamali, I think his name was. Matchmakers who watch the proclivities of children when they're this high and just see their nature. And they are empowered to be able to ascertain that these children are matches, good matches for each other. We don't usually have such a thing nowadays, but maybe in some places, no. But that was the case. So there was the matchmaker and there was the astrologer. Astrologer would come second. So when Mother Sachi was thinking like this, Sanatan Mishra was quite a well-to-do Brahmin, and Sachimata was, by the Lord's arrangement, didn't appear to be materially wealthy. So is this a suitable match from the material point of view? Maybe not. But she was absolutely convinced herself. So she called the matchmaker, who also said, yes, this is definitely, he'd already ascertained this was a good match. So he went to Sanatan Mishra, and Sanatan Mishra was favorable. But, Mother Sachi didn't have the means, so Buddhimanta Khan, I think it was, who came forward and agreed to pay for the entire cost of this absolutely amazing festival. It is not an ordinary one. Nowadays we see rich people in India sometimes have spent crores of rupees on their daughter's marriage or their son's marriage, whatever it is. And in this case, again, a gorgeous arrangement was made, which went on for days. What does it do? Does it entrench people in material thoughts? No. by hearing about this pastime, we be completely freed of the entangling effects which are, the risk, you could say, of grihastha ashram. Not in the sense that one becomes irresponsible, that one becomes very pure in one's responsibility. Not much more is said. Obviously something is there in Vishnupriya's pastimes with the Lord because, very confidential. But besides that, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after some years, of course, decided to take sannyas. Quite extraordinary. He had no offspring, for various reasons. And for various reasons, he decided now's the time to take sannyas. After marrying Vishnupriya, he was engaged thoroughly, even before, thoroughly now in the Sankirtan with all of his devotees. So quite a thunderbolt, like a thunderbolt on the devotees' hearts when he decided to take sannyas. And of course, you could say none more than on Vishnupriya and Mother Sachi's hearts. I mean, to Vishnupriya there was nothing in the world except Nimai or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was no one else, nothing else meant anything to her. Serving her husband, and of course that included Mother Sachi. So this was like a complete heartbreak. We won't mention much about that. That's in the Chaitanya Mangala, Lord Chandas Thakura. We can read more about that. Not much said in Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat. We can read about that in Chaitanya Mangala if you want to read more about that. It's quite heartbreaking and heart-rending. And of course from then on, how could Vishnupriya carry on? She carried on to serve Mother Sachi. And for the rest of her life, Mahaprabhu actually very kindly manifested himself in a form of himself, identical form. Was it Daneshwar? No, was it in Navadvip, the name of that deity? Dameshwar. In Navadvip. That's the form worshipped by Vishnupriya. Not different from Lord Chaitanya. So that was her life and soul from then on. She would chant non-stop, day and night. Every time she chanted a round or mantra or whatever, she would put aside one grain of rice. That was her only foodstuff. That grain of rice that she would chant a round of japa or a mantra or whatever. And she lived like that for the rest of her life, worshipping her beloved husband in this way. Anyway, you can find out more about Vishnupriya if you want, but such an eternal associate of the Lord's internal Shakti, she is understood to be the manifestation of the Bhu Shakti, internal potency of the Lord. And then who else we have? Raghunandana Thakura. Funny pastime, the only one we really normally hear is the funny pastime. Transcendentally funny pastime, which obviously we cannot imitate, but we can try to follow the mood of Vishnupriya. We can see that chastity, that complete dedication to her object of life. Try to cultivate that. We can't imitate the way she worships, but we can cultivate the spirit. So the same thing with Raghunandana Thakura. He was a young boy. His father Mukunda was a physician, and he was worshipping deities, Radha, Gopinath or something. I can't remember the name of the deities, but he was worshipping Radha and Krishna. One day he was called out. The father was called out. The son would help him in various aspects of the puja. And the father was called out on some urgent business, and he couldn't stay to complete the puja that day, the offering of the bhoga to the deity. So he said to his son, you please have to do the offering today. You offer it the way you've seen, to the Lord. And, it's like sometimes mothers, they make their children eat. You have to eat everything. Don't leave anything on your plate. I see that nowadays that's not the case. But when I was a kid, my father would not let me leave the dinner table until there was not one grain of rice on the plate. It was standard. Don't waste. It was a major lesson which probably isn't so emphasized nowadays. Don't waste a grain of rice, or to speak of 1 cent. It's Krishna's energy, don't waste it, and respect it. These things were unknown that they were Krishna's energy, but there was some kind of principle there. And now it's perhaps not so emphasized. But it's a good policy. I mean, you can say, oh, this is not, but whatever you like. But from my experience, it's a good policy, which lives throughout our life. Prabhupada emphasized it again and again also. Not to waste a grain of rice. So his father makes sure Krishna eats everything, okay? Well, the boy was very innocent and didn't really know the kind of, let's say, the transcendental aspect fully, in one sense. Well, maybe he did, but he was looking at it in a different way. So the father went out, the boy brought the Raghunandana, Thakura brought the offering onto the altar, placed it in front of Krishna, ding, 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 ding. Krishna, please eat. My father said, you have to eat everything. And Krishna is not doing anything. And the boy starts to cry practically, please eat. And Krishna, okay, eats everything on the plate. Nothing left. The boy thought that's what normally happens. So father came back later on and said, did you make the offering? And Raghunatha said, yes, Daddy. So where's the Mahaprasadam? Oh, Krishna ate everything. Really? Krishna ate it all? Yes, Father, you asked me to make sure he ate everything. Father was a little suspicious. What's going on here? That'd be good. Anyone here a pujari? I'll put my glasses on. Any pujaris here? There's quite a few. Come on, Ekadasi is a pujari too. Now we know what's going on. You're a pujari, Ekadasi? Yes? Who else? Who else is pujari? Ganga? Anyone else? Any boys? Hey, Shastra, Prabhu. Oh, cool. Sham. We have many pujaris here. This is, you can say, oh, today is Raghunandana Das Thakura's appearance day. I'm following in his footsteps. Krishna ate everything. Okay, now it's time for lunch. No, I don't feel hungry today. So a little suspicion. Surely he couldn't have eaten everything. What's going on here? The boy didn't eat everything. He's a good boy. Surely he didn't eat it all. So he was suspicious. So he said, oh, okay, well, we better make the offering again then. So they prepared another offering, or took more of the offering to offer again. And again, the boy went on the altar. He didn't know what was going on, really. I mean, maybe he did, but this is all pastimes. He goes on the altar with the plate and puts it again in front of, just a short time later, in front of the deities and said, ding, 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 please eat everything. That rhymes, ding, ding, please eat everything. This is a new mantra when you do offering at lunchtime. Ding, 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 please eat everything. You can sing also, you ring and ding. And anyway, Krishna, he was, what's going on here? I can't eat anything. What are you doing? I'm full. You just forced me to eat up to the neck. I can't eat a single thing. And the boy was started to cry, please eat. My father said you have to eat. I cannot. I can't eat anything. Well, at least eat something. So the father was hiding behind the curtain, hearing this interaction. He was astonished. And then Krishna said, all right, I'll eat something. So give me the laddu. So he took the laddu and bit into the laddu. And his father saw all of this taking place. He was stunned. He immediately accepted his own son like his own guru. And when the father and son went to Puri to see Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu said, who is the father and who is the son? Mukunda said, my son is my father. He is teaching me pure devotional service. This innocent child, at that time was an innocent child, of course everyone grows up, and he became a great devotee. He was also there in the Keturi festival of Narottam Das and Srinivas, present there for that notable festival of Gopurnima, etc. So not much more, I don't know much more about Raghunandana Thakura. I can't even remember who was in Krishna Lila, maybe someone can remember. like all of them, they have their position in Krishna Lila. Also, they're parishas, they're not jivas who become, by the mercy of these great devotees, they may develop a mood of a particular form of devotional service. But these are the eternal personifications of those devotional relationships, those moods. And that's our time now, a little bit more time. I don't think we'll be able to talk about Raghunatha Goswami. He is obviously the most famous, at least he probably is, and most is said about Raghunatha, generally speaking, in Chaitanya Charitamrita and other scripts. We hear a lot about Raghunatha Goswami, but maybe if we are still in this body this afternoon, we are welcome to go to Rupa Raghunath Prabhu's home this afternoon. We maybe talk about that then if we can, if Raghunath Das gives us his blessings. Let's see, who else have we got? Pundarika Vidyanidhi and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. We mentioned a little bit about Vishwanath already. And again, there's not so much said. I mean, his writing was very prolific writing. Commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, Madhurya Kadambini, amazing step by step, takes us through the steps of pure devotional service to perfection. And the commentaries, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, for a large degree, he took the commentaries of many acharyas, but probably more than anyone else, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. Oh, I forgot to bring it. I have this amazing verse. I don't have it with me. I'll see if I can find it later. About Vishwanath's own breakdown of his own name. It's quite an astonishing. It means, it has different meanings when it expands the circle of pure devotional service, direct meanings like that, like the emperor of knowledge and so on. But he has his own definition of his name. I'm not even going to attempt to remember what it says. It's so amazing. And it's such a humbling definition, which I really feel is a good one to apply to ourselves. So I'll try to find it later on. I forgot to look for it. But other than that, of course, he was the spiritual master of the illustrious Baladev Vidyabhushan, who Prabhupada dedicates his Bhagavad Gita to, because he presented the Govinda Bhasya, the conclusion, or the commentary on the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya's Siddhanta philosophy, to establish it in the greater society as being authorized. I don't have anything else to say. Vishwanath Chakravarti resided much of his life in Bengal. He took Diksha from Raghunandana Chakravarti and wrote and studied under him. There's a Diksha line and a Siksha line. There's two lines in there. And he did a lot of his writing when he was in Stajayabad, some town in Bengal. And then he moved to Vrindavan. Spent the latter years in Vrindavan, associating with followers of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, residing in his Bhajan Kutir, etc. There in Vrindavan, Radhakund, and so on. And he is most significant in our line, basically speaking. He most prominent after the Goswamis and their immediate followers, most prominent acharya in our line up to Bhaktivinoda Thakur in terms of preachers. And who else have we got? Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Oh, what an excitement. He's one of the most exciting pastimes. So I remember one time in Auckland, going back to the 90s, I don't know if anyone was with us in Auckland in those days, but one devotee, I can't remember the name, who it was, but one devotee was there who was very expert dramatist, a lady, Vaishnavi, and she was arranging a drama for Gopurnima, 2 dramas, and one of them was this drama of Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Quite an astonishing drama, and not an easy one, by the way, to put on. You'll understand why if you know already, and if you don't, you'll find out why it's not so easy. Pundarika Vidyanidhi's relationship with Lord Chaitanya was very unique, very confidential. So in this drama we try to some degree, reenact this pastime. She asked me if I could be Pundarika Vidyanidhi, a little bit of flair for spontaneous drama, because it was almost spontaneous. She said, well, we've got to rehearse this play. I said, you can't rehearse it. It'll happen or it won't happen, but there's no question of rehearsing this. I mean, you can rehearse other parts of it, but not this particular scene. So she left it that way. We just did it spontaneously, basically, but it was quite an extraordinary experience. One of the best ways to enter into Krishna Lila and to imbibe these pastimes and the lessons therein is through drama. Rudhava recommends that Krishna's pastime should be presented in dramatic way. That doesn't mean dramatic in the sense of whatever crazy ways. It means through chaste dramatic presentation. You don't make jokes of Krishna Lila. Very serious when you're doing drama. Deep meditation on the part, and one's surrender to that part, and so on and so forth. Anyway, aside from that, the story unfolds a little bit. We can read it in Chaitanya Charitamrita. How Pundarika Vidyanidhi was a resident. Have anyone been to Chittagong in Bangladesh? Chittagong in Bangladesh? Okay, Chittagong is the second city of Bangladesh, basically. At that time, it was all part of it. It was East Bengal. Many great devotees appeared in that area. Just near there's a place called Pundarik Dham. It's now named Pundarik Dham, where Pundarika Vidyanidhi appeared and lived primarily there. Vasudev Dat, Mukunda Dat, so many devotees appeared in that area. Great devotees of Lord Chaitanya. I think Govinda Ghosh and all those brothers. Many of them appeared in that area. A very auspicious place. I've been there a few times. Beautiful. We have a beautiful temple there, Govinda Dham, Pundarik Dham. Beautiful temple. Everything's there reenacted. It's recreated Govardhan Hill, Radha everything's there. It's a really extraordinary place. And there he was residing. And he appeared to most people to be like an ordinary pounds, shillings and pence man. Here we have dollars and cents man. He was just, he was very well-to-do, and he made everyone know that he was very well-to-do. He didn't hide his position. He would dress in opulent silks and various ornaments. Well, anyway, go on and on. We'll hear about that more in a minute. So not many people recognized him as anything more than, an ordinary pious Hindu, little devotional service or whatever, but not like as an exalted eternal associate of the Lord, someone who's Uttama Bhagavat or even more. Hardly anyone, only a few also confidential associates of the Lord understood his real nature. So he also had a house in Navadvip. He was rich, he had houses here and there, and sometimes he'd go to Navadvip. So one time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was with his associates in Navadvip, and he started calling out, "Bop! Bop!" And now, I don't know what bop means in Australia. It probably means if I hit you on the head with a stick or something. Bop! Take this. Bop. But in Bengal it means father, father. Bop is like a, dad or something in English. It's short, like a slang, not slang, but a, intimate address. Bop! And then he would say, Pundarik. He would cry, Pundarik, Pundarik. Where are you, Pundarik? They always didn't know what Lord Chaitanya was doing, Pundarik, the name of Krishna also. Maybe he's calling out to the Lord, or perhaps there's some devotee. Pundarik, sometimes you say Vidyanidhi. They think maybe some great devotee of some kind. We know what. Who is he? They were not aware of what it is. Who is his personality? Eventually Pundarik came to Navadvip, but nobody recognized him. Nobody. Only those few, Mukunda, Vasudev, few knew, but he kept confidential. Lord Chaitanya then described that this great personality is here in Navadvip, but nobody will recognize him. And he was hankering for his association. But past time, it didn't happen yet. So one day, one of Lord Chaitanya's close associates, Gadadhar Pandit, they were childhood associates, who was very innocent, very renounced brahmachari. Very simple, very renounced, and very learned. And he was very close with Mukunda very close with him. And Mukunda knew that one of Godardha loved to associate with advanced devotees. He loved it. He was always hankering for the association of advanced devotees, and loved to sit there and hear their glorification of Krishna and serve them and so on. So on this occasion, Mukunda, seeing and knowing that Pundarika had arrived, suggested to Godardha, would you like to get the opportunity to associate with a very advanced devotee who's just arrived here in Navadvip? Immediately Godardha was very enthusiastic. Oh yes, please, please, please. He was very eager. So then Mukunda took him off to see Pundarika. Pundarika, as we mentioned before, was from a very opulent background and made it quite clear he was. So they enter this very opulent house. And Godardha was very renounced, simple brahmachari with only one set of cloth, like all the brahmacharis, of course. I don't know if there are any brahmacharis here. Any brahmacharis here at New Govardhan? Where's Sham? Sham. He's on the altar. Where? Sham, there he is. Sham. And that's Govardhan Dari. Same person. He's on the altar. He's very renounced. Real renounced. We have our Garuda Prabhu and our Sham Prabhu and maybe others, I don't know. And they only have one set of cloth. They wash it every night before they go to bed. They sleep on the bare floor. I've seen them just, eating only dry khichdi once a day. They're very austere brahmacharis. But whatever. Prabhupada didn't do that. But he was a very simple brahmachari. No material desire. So he came to the house with Mukunda, and Mukunda was, Pundarika was sat there on not exactly a throne, but a very opulent bedstead. It was big, brass utensils, all kind of filigree, beautiful fine silk sheets and pillows. These things they have going, what do you call that, curtains, very fine satin curtains, and all very opulent looking. And he was sat there, and he looked like, in English we say, a right dandy. Now, I don't know if you know what that means. We probably don't have that term now, You're like somebody. Yeah. He's got a mirror in front of him. He's got servants grooming his hair, which has all perfumed oils, and sandalwood paste dotted on his forehead and around his face, and various flowers here and there, and earrings, and various jewelry, and he's dressed in the finest silk garments. He didn't exactly look like the most renounced, Paramahamsa, And not only that, he had, bowls of the most opulent fruits. He had hookah pipes, he had spittoons, he had pan, and all sorts of items around him, and he's chewing pan, his lips are red, and spitting it out to the spittoon. And you can imagine, and he's looking in a mirror and just, arranging. Ladies, if any ladies do this, you can't compare to him. He was expert. And just making sure everything was just right, And naturally, you can imagine Godardha started to doubt. He couldn't quite, catch it. It didn't seem to fit, How is this? When he first came in, Pundarika received them very nicely because he knew they were intimate. Mukunda and Pundarika were intimate friends. And he said, who is this wonderful, young, effulgent personality you've come with? And they offer their obeisances to Pundarika. And Pundarika said, who is this wonderful, effulgent personality? Then he introduced them all. And he was praising Godardha. But Godardha was thinking, little doubts were coming into his mind. And you can imagine You can imagine, I'm sure your mind is full of doubts right now about this ass sitting on this assan. What's this nonsense, just trying to show himself off? He's not making a good job of it either. But you may have some doubts. You're quite entitled to have it. But in this case, it was another reason. So Mukunda could detect that there was some doubts. I mean, if I came in here, dressed in, with golden chain, jewelry and a crown, and golden crown, and I got long silken hair, and I'm spitting pan out into the spittoon, and looking in a mirror during the reflection of the class, you'd probably have a few doubts as well. Whatever, we probably would. Although sometimes we get bewildered even in these situations. So Gadara was becoming a little perplexed. And Mukunda, they're eternal souls, they're not ordinary living entities, could immediately feel this emotional reaction in the heart of Gadara Pandit. So he immediately, for the service of everyone, to be honest, but especially for Gadara, he started to recite from Srimad Bhagavatam verses in regards to Putana. I don't know the Sanskrit, but how merciful Krishna is. Even though the witch Putana approached him with poison on her breast, with the intention of feeding that to Krishna and killing him, Krishna nonetheless accepted her breast and delivered her to the position of one of his personal nurses in Goloka Vrindavan. How merciful is that Lord? Even though she came with intention of killing, he accepts that she's coming like a mother to offer her breast. I will deliver her and fulfill her desire, utter desire, to feed her breast to me and become a nurse in my eternal pastimes. How merciful. When Pundarika heard these verses, his inner, devotion, his inner nature could no longer be concealed. And we're at this point in the drama, we're doing this in Auckland, and I'm sitting there looking, I'm the other way around. I may look a little bit devotional on the outside, but I'm a pathetic dandy on the inside. Dandelion. Something like that. But with him it was the other way around, And anyway, I'm trying to imitate this. So somehow or another, when this happened, I don't know if he ever forgave me for this. When I heard this verse, I grabbed my cloth, nice silk cloth by the way, and I ripped it open like this. I smashed the table next to me. The spittoon went flying. The chair went flying backwards. I hit the table. The fruit went everywhere. So everything flew off the stage, crashing into the audience, some of it. I rolled on the floor, roaring, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna! Mad. And then when it's quiet, and then suddenly it came back to consciousness and continued to roar and rip and flew off the stage and crashed into the audience. And there wasn't a single bruise, scratch, or anything. It was totally mystical. Anyway, that's another sideline just to advertise my glories. But you've got to do that if you want to get anywhere in this world today, by the way. Isn't it? So, anyway, Pundarika, it wasn't like that. It was uncontrollable, ecstatic, loving, devotional emotions bursting out. For hours this went on. He would go into complete internalization, samadhi, whatever. And then come back to external consciousness again, crying. Eventually, everything in the room was smashed practically. Nobody could hold him down. He was completely out of control. Normally they don't exhibit this. This was an exception to the rule, you could say, and usually it's internal. But in this case it became quite clear. Gadadhar Pandit, who was a great devotee, could recognize, oh my goodness, what have I thought? Not what I've done, what have I thought? What have I thought? how am I ever going to be able to, recover from this offensive thought? And when he eventually came to, let's say, what we normally call normality, Pundarika, things were adjusted a little bit. Gadadhar Pandit immediately asked Mukunda, of course for his blessings and permission, approached him to please accept me as your disciple, because he wasn't officially initiated at that time. So, of course, Pundarika, very special arrangement of the Lord. And who is Gadadhar Pandit? Who was he? He's an expansion of the effulgence, different statements. So there was Srimati Radharani. And who is Lord Chaitanya? Combined form of Radha and Krishna, but in the mood of Radha. And who is Pundarika Vidyanidhi? Prishabhanu. He is there. So it's just totally natural. It's father, son, a daughter. So he's approaching like that. Please accept me as your disciple. So at the right time, they went to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya was very happy about this arrangement. And at the right time, initiation was arranged under the shelter of Pundarika Vidyanidhi. So the idea, the understanding is, it's not always easy to detect these are pure devotees of the Lord. Especially conditioned souls cannot detect. We tend to measure everything according to how it affects us, what we think, how we perceive it. Sometimes we hear from those who are more advanced, and sometimes we hear from Shastra, but that's often interpreted according to our own particular vision. So main way is we hear from advanced devotees, as did Gadadhar Pandit from Mukunda. He great soul. And what else to say? When Pundarika Vidyanidhi later on, when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he also visited Puri. Gadadhar Pandit, of course, went with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Puri when he took sannyas and stayed there for the rest of his life, worshipping Toda Gopinath. And one time, Gadadhar Pandit said to Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya, he said that, I need to, maybe I need to take like a reinitiation because I've forgotten my mantras that I received. I can't pronounce, not forgotten, I've forgotten how to pronounce them properly. We may sometimes find out devotees who chant Gayatri mantra. If you check yourself 20 years later, you may find you're not chanting the mantra properly. It often happens, I can tell you. It happens all the time with the Hare Krishna mantra, almost. You listen to many devotees, listen to yourself if you can, of course. You can often find you're not even chanting the 16 words. You're not even, we were chanting like God knows what mantra we're chanting. I don't know if he likes the mantra, but he probably knows what it is. But it doesn't have the same effect as chanting the Maha Mantra properly. At least pronouncing it, Prabhupada said, each word pronounced as best we can, not skipping it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You don't have to chant that slow. It'll take you all day. It's a good excuse for not doing any service. If I were the TP, I'd say, okay, no prasadam either then. No service, no prasad. Keep chanting. That's what Prabhupada said to devotees who wanted to do that. You have to follow in the footsteps of Haridas. So, Pundarik, Gadadhar Pandit was saying, I've forgotten how to pronounce it. So, should I take? No. And Lord Chaitanya said, not necessary. Pundarik is coming here very soon. And just shortly after Pundarik arrived in Puri, so all was settled there. Whilst Pundarik was there, he was very intimate with Srila Damodar Goswami. They were very close friends. That goes back to Krishna Lila as well. They were very close friends. In that Lila, they were friends. So they would spend a lot of time together, and they went to the temple of Jagannath. And it happened to be the occasion of Odana Shasti. I think last month you had this festival of Odana Shasti where Lord Jagannath offered new cloth on that day. But in Puri they have the tradition is normally you have to wash the cloth before you offer us, because the new cloth is starched. I don't know much about cloth making, but apparently it's starched. But in Puri, they don't wash it. They offer it straight away, starched cloth. Now this is considered, and we can read in Hari Bhakti Vilas and other places, as an offence is against the principles to offer starched cloth to the deity. You don't even offer it to be stiff, it's like stiff cloth. And starch is not pure. So it's meant to be washed first. But in Puri they offer it straight to the deity. So after seeing this, Pundarika was saying, this is not correct. You shouldn't offer starch. The pujaris, maybe they don't know these things or what. He was talking to Sri Damodar. They shouldn't do like this. And Sri Damodar says, well, this is a local custom, maybe that's the way the deity wants it. Well, he kind of behaved a little innocent as if he didn't know the answer exactly. So anyway, they had this kind of laughing conversation. It wasn't an argument, it was just jovial. Why are they doing this? And then at the end of the day, Pundarika went to take rest. He laid down and he had a dream. Vision, dream. But in his dream, Lord Jagannath and Balaram appeared in his dream. Said, who are you to come here and start, imposing your impressions like this? And they started smacking him on the cheeks. Boom, 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 like this. You can't come here and start telling us what we should be doing or what we shouldn't be doing. This is what we want. We make the rules, not you. We make the rules around here. We want this, we like this. And then he woke up and he saw his cheeks all swollen. Being beaten by Lord Jagannath. He was so happy. He was in ecstasy. How fortunate I am that the Lord has done this to me. It was so. We can learn from that in a simple way. Sometimes we get somebody who we think is considered other areas we have to be careful of, but in normal, somebody who chastises us or something like that, and we sometimes react against it in a rather negative way. We don't see Krishna's hand working there on many occasions. We see this person's off the wall. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm not going to hang around here. But we have different reactions, or maybe we become aggressive towards that person or something. To see Krishna's hand working, because he saw it directly working, punching him in the cheek, so it wasn't so difficult, but the same principle is there in many of our life's dealings. So many examples of this. Pundarika Vidyanidhi is accepting, judging people according to our materialistic perception. We may not be so correct in our judgmentalism. We judge them according to how it affects us or how we want it to be or something. It's not always correct. And what to do if we misjudge is also taught there, and so on like that. And the importance of good association to clarify our doubts, etc., etc. So we better finish there, and this afternoon we'll carry on, if Krishna wills, and you will. Raghunath Das Goswami. He was, for many of us in the early days, we had never heard of, when these days would come, Pundarika Vidyanidhi Ki Jai, and that was the end of Pundarika Vidyanidhi's appearance day. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura Ki Jai, that was all that was said. Vishnupriya Devi Dasi, the wife of Lord Chaitanya Ki Jai. Saraswati Puja, I'm not sure if we're supposed to say Ki Jai to that one. Vasanta Panchami, probably name of one of Lord Chaitanya's associates, never heard of them. Raghunandana Thakura, I'm sure he was another associate. And Raghunath Das Goswami Ki Jai, Goswamis. Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghushako. We sing. At that time, Chaitanya Charitamrita was not out, so there was literally nothing to read from practically. So just a little bit here and there. But he was like the main personality. More was known about him. And of course there's more written. So we try to hear that this afternoon. But one thing was, whenever a day came, even if it was the appearance day of Abhiram Das Thakur, who probably don't even know who it is anyway now, what to speak of then, we would have a feast. It must be an important day, it's on the calendar, it's a feast day. We wouldn't fast, but we'd have a feast. And what it meant was kirtan, more kirtan, more kirtan. We hadn't a clue who he was or anything about him, whose associate he was. But sometimes we have a learned devotee who'd been in India might say a few things, but otherwise nothing. But we would have a feast. A feast in those days meant halava and puris on top of whatever you ever have. We could never have a feast without halava and puris. It was not a feast unless, and halava was like, well, you can say, I guess it's like that here, I don't know experience, but the halava had to be indescribably ecstatic. Not just halava, you know, but halava that would, like, you know, blow your head off. Like irresistible. Make your hair stand on end. And pura is like footballs blown up hot, properly cooked. Pura is not these flat pancakes dripping in oil, half cooked. Or these crackers, more like poppadoms and puris. It's usually one or the other these days. Or half the half. Half of it's crackly and the other half's not cooked. Yeah, we would stack them up in the trays upright, you know, in these wooden boxes, upright. Put paper tissue on, towels on top. But there would be no oil because they would be all in ghee and properly cooked. So you'd have almost as much ghee left at the end of cooking 200 puras as you did at the beginning. Almost. These are cooked properly, they're rolled properly, cooked properly, and they don't absorb ghee. They've already got ghee in the dough. They don't absorb any extra ghee. They just poof like a balloon in 2 seconds practically. Those were the days. Feast. I don't know if we're having a feast today, but Hare Krishna. Srila Pundarika Vidyanidhi ki jai, Srila Visvanatha Chakravarti Thakur ki jai, Sri Vishnupriya Devi Dasi ki jai, Sri Raghunandana Das Thakur ki jai, Sri Raghunatha Das Goswami ki jai, Sri Vasant Panchami ki jai, Sri Saraswati Puja ki jai, Go Premanandi, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai. They're all related to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, by the way, which is interesting. Hare Krishna.